People often ask me, why is it I hold the indicator down like this instead of pressing it all the way so that it stays on? And why do I cancel the signal myself instead of letting the system cancel it for me when I turn the wheel? Well, that's what I'm going to explain in this video, along with why it's important not to rely on self-cancelling indicators. So why do self-cancelling indicators exist? Are they a luxury? No. If you're learning to drive, or remember learning to drive, or you're teaching someone to drive, you will know just how annoying and difficult they can be. Experienced drivers don't have this problem because they've already learnt their way around the system. They know when to reapply the signal and they know when they have to cancel it themselves. But new drivers, well, the self-cancelling system doesn't really work for them because it cancels when they don't want it to and it doesn't cancel when they do want it to. And that's because it's designed to cancel when you straighten the wheel. So let's say you're turning left. You put the left signal on, you turn, you straighten up and it self-cancels for you. Great. But let's say you're doing that same left turn, but this time you need to adjust your position on the way there. Oh, it's cancelled and you haven't done the turn yet. Or you're changing lane where you don't need to steer much at all. Didn't cancel. That often happens when you're leaving roundabouts as well. Self-cancelling signals are not a luxury. They are a safety system to cancel the signal in case you forget, and they're not 100% foolproof. If you're using your indicator, you should be thinking, is my signal helping? The moment it's not helping, you should cancel it because a misleading signal can be dangerous. Here I'm going ahead at this roundabout, first exit. There's no left turn on this roundabout, ahead is the first exit. This is where the signal is going to cancel too early. So I'm slowing down, get to the roundabout, looks safe, signal left to say I'm going to leave, and it cancels. So now I have to reapply it to confirm to the other road users entering the roundabout that I am leaving. What an experienced driver would do is they know the signal is going to cancel, so they're ready for it, they're used to it. So what they do is they put the signal on, I'll do that about now, and they know when they steer it's going to cancel and their hand is already there ready to put it on. But for learner drivers, they're not used to this system, so it takes them longer to reapply it, and in some situations that can cause an issue. Now I find it annoying when the signal cancels too early and I have to reapply it. So the way I get around it is to just hold the indicator down partially so that the signal stays on without the self-cancelling system activating. For example here, going to signal now, just holding it down partially, and then when I no longer need it, I let go. I haven't had to reapply it. And I've been doing that more recently because of a car I've owned over the last 3 years. More on that one later. This is where relying on the self-cancelling signal can be dangerous. I'm about to take the second exit on this roundabout. Technically it's the first because this one on the left is no entry, that's for the police station, but it's the second physical road. So now I'm signalling left to leave, and I'm going to rely on the self-cancelling system. It hasn't cancelled and there's a road on the left here, and I had to cancel it myself. It still wouldn't have cancelled, and it still wouldn't have cancelled, and it would have cancelled by now that I've straightened the wheel. So I would be looking like I'm taking that road on the left. So anybody waiting to pull out of that road would think I'm turning into it and therefore would pull out in front of me. But of course, I wasn't turning left into that road, I was going straight, and therefore it can be dangerous. This is why it's important to be in the habit of cancelling the signal as soon as it's no longer needed. Now you may be thinking, there's a lot to do with my hands, especially when I'm driving a manual car. Well, the priority with your hands, priority one is steering. You can't go too far left or right off of where you should be before you hit something. Steering is the most important thing you're doing when you're driving. Second priority is signalling. It's important to let people know where you're going, but also it's very important to cancel the signal before it becomes misleading. And the third priority is gears. Gears can usually wait. If you're in second and need third, don't worry, just go a little bit faster in second, it will be fine. The same if you're in first and need second. You can accelerate a little bit more, so long as you don't run out of revs, which is unlikely for normal urban driving. In fact, you could say gears are your fourth priority, because if it's raining like it is now, and you need to make an adjustment to the windscreen wipers or your lights, I would do those before the gears. Okay, what about slowing down, I hear you ask? If you're slowing down, gears are more important because you're going to need that lower gear to get going again. And that's where attitude plays a big part. If your attitude is, I'm not going to get going until I'm ready to go, you shouldn't feel rushed with the gears. Having that attitude makes driving a manual much easier. If your attitude is, I need to go now, I need to go whether I'm ready or not, you're going to struggle with a manual car. Control the car first, decide to go second. Earlier on in this video, I said that I've gotten into the habit of holding the indicator down, partially, instead of clicking it on properly because of a car that I've owned over the last 3 years. Welcome to that car, this Mazda MX-5. One of my bugbears with this car are its self-cancelling signals. They're too sensitive. You don't have to steer much before it cancels. And sometimes I can be trying to add the signal or put the signal on and it's cancelling as I'm trying to put it on. And there's some junctions where I can put it on 3 times to get it to signal for that junction. And I think the average person has about a 3-time limit when it comes to telling a piece of technology what to do. The first time will be like, oh, well, I'll just do that again. The second time will be like, oh, come on. And the third time, well, that's when patience is usually exceeded. Now, everyone deals with losing their patience in a different way. And what I have seemed to have done without even realising it, this has happened subconsciously, I didn't realise it happened until people started pointing it out, is I've started holding the indicator down partially like this, because then, see, self-cancelling system, you can't operate, can you? And that's just been my way around it, and I've transferred it over to other cars that I'm driving without realising it. I don't teach this, I don't recommend people do it, new drivers do it, because new drivers need their hands for the wheel, and if they're trying to hold the indicator down, that's going to be confusion. I don't find it a problem because I seem to only do it when I know I only need to do a minor bit of steering, and quite often it cancels when I don't want it to, when it is a minor bit of steering, and when I need to do a bigger steer, I'll put it on properly and then do the steer. But that's why I think I've started doing this instead of that. What I don't recommend you do is prevent the signal from self-cancelling by holding it down, because it doesn't sound good and it feels like I might damage something. Now, the electronic systems, they're going to be okay, but I have actually seen how one of these systems work in an old car I used to have. It was a 1992 model, so it is old now, but this feels the same. And what happens is you get these little plastic tabs that pop out inside the steering mechanism, and when you turn the wheel, it knocks it off. It doesn't seem like a good idea to me to force that plastic tab from being able to be knocked off when you straighten the wheel. So my advice is to let it cancel and then reapply it. I'm not sure if forcing it down like that is going to cause any damage. I don't know anybody who has damaged their signalling self-cancelling system. Why don't you let me know in the comments if you know someone who has damaged theirs. But it doesn't feel right, so I don't advise it, although I'm not sure. I'm not actually sure what the difference is between this car and the Mazda. I just know that the Mazda self-cancels more often and I find it mildly infuriating. So on camera right now, I'm going to try and figure out the difference. So I'm going to signal left and turn the wheel to the left until it clicks on the self-cancelling mechanism. You'll hear a click. Hear that? Little click. And I've turned it. That's about 1/8. And now when I straighten, it will self-cancel. If I turn it less than 1/8, it doesn't self-cancel. Go further till it clicks, and then it will. But if I steer it to the right, it clicks, but it doesn't self-cancel until I go to the left more than 1/8 and then straighten. And the same will be if I signal right, then it will be turning it to the right. That will make it self-cancel. I think the Mazda self-cancels if I've got the left signal on and turn right. Of course, if I've signaled left and I'm turning to the right, that's clearly a position adjustment on the way to my left turn. That's clearly not my left turn. I'm not entirely sure though, so I'll get in that car now and test it. Okay, so in real time now, I'm in the Mazda. I genuinely haven't consciously tried to tell the difference between the two before. I'm doing this on camera. So I'm going to signal to the left, turn the wheel to the left like I did last time and see how long it takes for it to click. That's 1/8 of a turn. That's nearly 1/4 of a turn. That surprises me. So I actually have to turn more to get this one to self-cancel, yet it's always self-cancelling when I don't want it to. My suspicion is it self-cancels when I steer the other way, the opposite way to the signal. So signal left, turn to the right. Okay, I'm not hearing any clicks. And it's not self-cancelling. Well, I don't know what the difference is then, because I'm going to need to figure this one out. Okay, I've had a little play and I'm quite surprised because this one cancels far more often than the Leon, but I have to steer it more to get it to cancel, and if I steer the opposite way to the signal, it still doesn't cancel. But one thing I've noticed is if I'm already steering to the right, let's say I'm on a right curve and I put my right signal on and then I straighten the wheel, it cancels. And that might be the problem. I might be just turning a bit on a little bend or something, and then I go, right, I'm taking that road on the right, and then I straight and it cancels. Let's see if it does that in the Leon. Back in the Leon, if I am turning right and I put the right signal on and then straighten, it still cancels. What is the difference? I don't know why I find the Mazda system more annoying, and I find that it cancels more often because, as far as I can tell from testing both cars, this car has a more sensitive system. Maybe I have to turn more to do small direction changes in the Mazda than this car, which means it self-cancels more often because I'm turning the wheel more. I don't know. I've had a similar problem in an old Toyota MR2 Roadster Mark III 2004. I found that always used to self-cancel when I didn't want it to, more so than other cars that I drive. So I'm sorry Mazda for accusing you of having an annoying self-cancelling system for the signals. Clearly it's me, I'm guessing, but that doesn't change the point in this video. You shouldn't rely on self-cancelling systems. They are not a luxury that you should rely upon. They are a safety system to back you up. So there we are. That's why you shouldn't rely on self-cancelling signals. They're a safety system to back you up if you forget to cancel it yourself. You should be cancelling the signal as soon as it's no longer required. Self-cancelling signals aren't smart. They may not cancel, and they'll probably cancel later than needed. If you found the video interesting, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're looking for car insurance, check out the links to Collingwood and Confused in the description. If you're learning to drive and want to insure yourself on somebody else's car, then Collingwood are there for you, because you can do so without affecting the owner's policy. And that takes away a big stress from the owner of that car that you're using to learn to drive. Via the link at the moment, there's up to 35% off and a £20 Amazon gift card. If you want to insure your own car, I recommend checking out the link to confused.com. It's the one I use. You fill out one quote form and get loads of quotes back from many insurers to compare who's cheapest. And if you're shopping around for different cars, you can change your car on that quote as many times as you like without doing the whole quote again, which is a quick and easy way to compare how much it costs to insure different cars. Using the links doesn't cost you anything, but it does support the channel, so thank you very much. Subscribe to get my future videos, and until the next one, cheerio.